5?
Yeah, I'll do Critch. I'll do all Diego in the first. I figure I'll kind of just do it and talk with you. Want to talk and talk through it, and then I'll do Roman leading into Dale. Gives Dale something to talk about. Critch is going to lead into George because that's the complaint. Which Critch rarely does. I think that's important because he doesn't do that very often.
So Berkey and Diego in the first segment?
No, just Diego.
Oh, just Diego in the first segment. Got it.
Hey guys, over here for my make plays.
Welcome back to the Kravar Sports Open Auto Ads. Tomorrow, it's Keith's Getaway Day of the holiday. And those are the time from Louisiana into portions of Mississippi. So like paycheck barely keeps up with per hour. This is CBS News. Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidates for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
At 8:03, it's a clear sky. Right now, 74 degrees downtown at the Arch. St. Louis City Sheriff Albert Montgomery is criminally charged by the U.S. Attorney. One misdemeanor count of deprivation of rights under color of law put Deputy Commissioner of the St. Louis City Justice Center, Tammy Roth, back in February. Montgomery's attorney, Jesse Gelfand, maintains his client innocence. Roth is detained by Montgomery, was captured on surveillance footage. As for evidence they had, Gelfand didn't share any. Instead, he pointed to 6 statutes which he said allowed the sheriff to enforce certain criminal statutes. John Malone, Statewide News. Montgomery is charged with deprivation of rights under color of law, which is described by the Justice Department when a public official deprives someone of their constitutional rights while in an official position. U.S. Attorney Tom Alvis responds to FBI worked with my office and other agencies to complete the investigation. Montgomery, the St. Louis Sheriff.
A lot of us.
Excuse me. Get rid of that.
Police can do that, including having arrest authority. Jefferson County became the 4th and final legislative body to approve an agreement to build a new police training facility. Sheriff Dave Marshak tells KMOX the Regional Law Enforcement Training Center also includes St. Louis County, St. Charles, and St. Charles County. All the leaders came together. The police officers were actually making St. County, we have 400 police officers. St. Charles County, we have 900 police officers. St. County, 150. So we looked at centralized location. Marshak says having all 4 departments training one facility will make for a more consistent education for future officers. $50 million from the state's been secured, but the final cost is unknown as the land needs to be identified and purchased. What were you doing at 10 years old? Probably not starting your own company, but that's what Joshua Manrick of St. Louis did. He started Mr. Fresh, a line of air fresheners and deodorizers. Once he really got things up and running, the 16-year-old pitched it to Walmart.
Interesting. So when the news came down, the first thing I saw after the news came down was a lot of people let me know that they had very long DM conversations with Lutz in the past.
Oh, really?
Apparently, he would jump into like fans' DMs.
I wouldn't. I'm not surprised.
And I had no idea. And so when he got fired, I was like, you know what? Apparently, he's on DMs all the time. I'm like, So I jumped into Twitter and I shot off a DM to him like, "Hey man, thank you for being so open to the media. As a St. Louis kid from South City, thank you for championing a pathway for anybody from any area to have a chance." And he literally just DM'd me back, just says, "Good evening." I don't know. Okay.
He's a quirky guy.
I don't know what that's. Like, is he about to rattle off like 4 texts? Like, here's why I think this is BS. All right, here we go.
Here we go. It's soccer time. It's St. Louis City soccer time, and we have a lot to talk about tonight here from KMOX. I'm Jen Cease, and alongside myself, Matt Rocchio, who's not only going to be pushing buttons, and I'm going to make him talk tonight because I need somebody to talk about all that has happened in such a short period of time. So when I was planning the show, I was planning on potentially having 2 segments to explain to me how the penalty calls get called in the last game against Vancouver where City loses. And I had those moments, as I'm sure everybody else would have thought, go back to A League of Their Own with Tom Hanks, if that's too old for everybody. We're going to win. We're going to win. And we did not win. So we're going to talk about that with George Gansner this hour, former FIFA and MLS referee, to go through those calls and kind of take me back through the trauma that we all lived that last game. But of course, we find out on Monday and we cover it on Tuesday, the departure of Lutz Pfannenstiel, sporting director of St. Louis City SC. He's the original. He is an architect of St. Louis City, and he is no longer with the club. And of course, we've heard a little bit from Diego Gigliani, city president and GM, on Tuesday, and we're going to go ahead and talk about that a little bit now and kind of get those things out of the way and then move a little bit more forward. So we're going to go forward to go back on Vancouver. So first about Diego, he met with us after practice on Tuesday to talk a little bit about the Monday news that Lutz Pfannenstiel no longer sporting director with the club. And when he first kind of addressed this, he talked about the fact, was really asked about the timing. Some of us were surprised that it might come now, and he has an answer for that. Now, there was a follow-up question to that, and I thought it was a good one, is specifically addressing, why not back when Olaf Melberg? Why now versus later? And does it have anything to do with the transfer window? So we've got a few more audio clips to do, but Matt, you're listening there. You were there also on Tuesday. It kind of it's now is as a good time as ever, but it does make me wonder if it was going to be now, maybe why not a little bit earlier? Why wait this long?
Yeah, especially because why was he the one making the decisions at the summer transfer window? That's, I think, a lot of people's question is, like, if you're going to cut him loose at this point in the schedule, why was he the one who just made the latest round of decisions? And obviously, as Diego said in there, he's not the only one making decisions. There's a group of people making these technical decisions as well as other contractual discussions. But it seems like an odd bit of timing after giving him a chance to kind of salvage things, and then to say that that's not the reason you let him go. I
we actually kind of like who you brought in for the transfer window.
He says he seems to be a big fan of what they brought in. So I understand, like, it's one of those things where it's like, you look at everything that happened with Lutz, I understand the move, but the timing still confuses me.
Yeah, and the other part that was kind of layered in Diego's comments were a little bit about also the fact that we were St. Louis City was carrying players that weren't cut loose a little bit earlier, and they're great people, by the way. Joachim Nilsson, Rasmus Alm, some of those who just couldn't stay healthy. I wonder if maybe there is some of that's cut them loose earlier. Not sure.
Yeah, the roster handling, I think, is odd because it seems like, go back to the winter transfer window, they didn't have a lot of roster spots. and they filled it with Aloni and Timo, the Aloni being Conrad Ballum. They're talented players, but not necessarily moves for the future as you brought in a new head coach. And, I think that for some people rang some alarm bells. And then when he fired Melberg, it rang those alarm bells a little bit louder.
Yeah. And then you talked a little bit further, and of course the next then question is, and I wanted to point out back too that Diego did talk about, Lutz's legacy. That one of the things that he talked about was, how involved Lutz was in the community and building that structure. You go to the business model of sometimes building businesses. The people who build aren't necessarily the ones who farm and nurture and make it better. Maybe that's the case in this case. But of course, there are next steps to take, and Diego talked a little bit about that. So there's a lot of steps, actually. And Matt, you know this as well as I do, that one of those key decision people he's talking about is Roman Berkey. And we did hear from Roman Berkey at the press conference today that those talks are still in motion. Diego has picked up where maybe perhaps Lutz had left off, and it sounds like those are hopefully going well, and St. Louis is still a priority for him. So, of course, Diego stepping in on that, him and John Hackworth working together, along with all the other things they do for the club. That is, considering how long it took for City to bring in Olaf Melberg and decide on that right fit for the club, it makes me wonder, you want to make the right moves, you want to take your time. But again, here we are, it's practically September. Let's just call it September. We're practically there. Not 7 games left at about a roundabout. We're not going to have a postseason. It's still not a ton of time to get a sporting director and a coach that fit the players in, and also get everybody lockstep with style. Makes me wonder too if there could be some changes made with some things, just like when BJ Callahan came in for Nashville.
Can't change a lot though. I mean, new SD, new head coach, a lot of roster turnover, all in just a couple months before new season starts. That's a lot of change for one club. I know San Jose just went through, or San Jose went through that. Austin, to a point, went through that as well. You can do it. The MLS is a league that you can turn around pretty quickly. So we'll see if they can do it.
All right. Well, of course, he was also asked, I thought it was a good question as well, about do you want to have somebody with MLS experience? David Critchley, interim head coach, is doing a great job. He is, stepped up in his experience level, of course, to the MLS professional level. We go to Olaf Melberg. He did not have MLS experience. Then again, Bradley Carnell came in with a ton of really good, results in the first year. Second year took a little bit of a dive, but he was asked a little bit about, is MLS experience important, and what are you actually looking for? So, of course, looking for between sporting director, between coach, and between maybe other people as well, to have a rounded out experience, not just MLS. It sounds like that's important, but also some international experience as well. Also asked too about, is this a time like Nashville did when they gave their new head coach kind of license to change the way they play, to change things and give him the way to say, this is the way I want to play. Find me players that fit that. It has worked for Nashville, but it doesn't sound like City wants to do a whole lot changing with that. Of course, all this audio again with Diego Gigliani, president and GM of St. Louis City SC. To me, Matt, it sounds like more of the same. In other words, we're going to take the beginning with St. Louis City's high press, chaotic style, and we're going to step that. We're not going to go all the way to Olaf Melberg. We're not going to go to a 5-back, 3-back, whatever that looks like, and play low blocks and not have action. But we want to take maybe the influences of John Hackworth, the influences of David Critchley, whoever that might be, and put a little bit of extra sophistication with the pressing game.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the what Lutz wanted to bring this past year, and they failed to do so. And that's one of the big reasons they've struggled this season. So yeah, you need to. I'm personally a big fan of the gegenpressing and going kind of hog wild with it all, but it is a risky style to play. And if you don't have the personnel to play it, you can't do it sometimes. And when they've been injured, they haven't had the personnel.
Yeah, I tend to be, honestly, I like a high press for a period of time. I like it more as a tactic than a style of play. But I would like to have a team that can do it and then can drop and when it makes sense and can not. I don't want to play a whole game in a low block. That's boring to me on the transition. But have different levels of play, be able to move the ball around. I like a higher possession rate. I like a stiffer turnover rate as well. I like people who can move the ball and have a good first touch, have a good second touch. So I would say, as far as what I'm looking for St. Louis City is to have that spunk of first year with a sophistication that it seems like at least our interim coaches have been moving the club toward.
Yeah, they've added it. The offense continues to improve under David Critchley. The question is, can they balance the team out?
All right. Well, more to come. We'll talk a little bit further about the team's adjustment, of course, to the loss of Lutz, plus a Vancouver reaction. And we've got a prep for Houston with Y98 game analyst Dale Schilly. He's up next on KMOX. Thank you, sir.
Perfect.
All right.
Good job.
So I figure out of the rejoin, we'll just do Romans. Always good to hear from a Roman.
Yeah, love hearing from rookie.
Especially if he's nice to the defense.
Rarely for good reason.
Right?
Celebrate Bob's Discount Furniture's 200 store milestone this Labor Day weekend. Oh my God. I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Segment. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. If wireless wants us, they got an unlimited plan. But if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plan started at $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Small business or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. A unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've got large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns.
She hit a fourth one? What? Oh my God.
Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25RHINO.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest safety law firm? In your case, there's lots. Just not for the reason millions of people called us last year and they're out of business. When it comes to fighting for justice and compensation, millions of people across the country trust us to go to battle for them. We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan for the people, not just injured. Dial Panel Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you. Tom Ackerman here for GC Bank and Building Community. We honor the St. Louis Kaplan Felton Holocaust Museum for using the
What's going on with this phone?
of the Holocaust.
Hello, Dale. Can you hear me?
Hatred, promote understanding, and inspire change.
What the hell's going on with this damn phone? This phone is breaking. Hello, Dale. Can you hear me? Yeah, sorry. No problem. No, I'm going to put you on hold. Thank you so much for your time, sir. All right, Dale's good to go.
Okay.
Building communities is creating bridges that bring people together. A visit
You want me to come back with Berkey?
Yeah,
Said?
that'd be great.
Got it.
Embracing understanding. Everyone feels safe, valued, and connected. A community where everyone thrives is what building community is all about. Join Houston. Get involved as we continue building the communities we make all more consistent at 85. I'm Michael Calhoun at KMOX. This Labor Day weekend, we're celebrating life.
You asked, we delivered. KMOX, now on FM. Crystal clear sound at 1041 FM.
Back on the City Spotlight here on KMOX, I'm Jen Cease alongside Matt Rocchio, and joining me now on the phone is Dale Schilly, St. Louis City Academy Director and Game Analyst on Y98 for all city games. Dale, first wanted to check in and ask you a little bit, of course, the elephant in the room, the departure of Lutz Deal from the club. Diego, of course, talked with us on Tuesday, but of course, somebody at that level who's really front-facing with the community and very involved from the very beginning sends ripple effects to the club, no? Sorry, I totally forgot. So I'll cue up Roman. What's wrong with me?
He was, I remember him tweeting from Archer Farm about finding a player.
Yeah. They got Perez.
He was a Puma guy through and through. That is for sure. And one thing that we talked a little bit, Matt and I, in the first segment was about the fact that, you know, a shout out and talking about, you can't deny, not only did Lutz lay the groundwork, of course, you know, foundation for St. Louis City, but he was really big on not only bringing in the right fit for the players, and he didn't always hit a home run with that. Not everybody does with every single player, but making sure too that he wanted to bring people who were able to put on and identify the shirt of the community. I think Diego put it, you know, really put on that city shirt, that St. Louis shirt, and identify with the community. Lutz was out in the community. He wanted players that would do that, coaches that would do that. And I believe when he brought up David Critchley as interim head coach, he wanted to be sure that Dave Critchley was, you know, in tune with the St. Louis community. And with that being important, whoever they pick for sporting director and for head coach will need to be people that not only come in with a good structure and want to do a style of play, but want to engage with St. Louis. Yeah, and I know he also made an impact on players that he brought in. Roman Berkey talked a little bit today in the press conference about how, yeah, for sure, he was, grateful to Lutz for bringing him in. And so I'm going to transition a little bit from the talk of Lutz. No disrespect to Lutz. I appreciate everything he's done for St. Louis, but of course, do also want to talk and make sure we get the most out of your time, Dale, and talk about the recent Vancouver game. It is hard to get a full compliment from Roman Berkey when it comes to defense. He's got such high standards for himself and the team. But we did get to hear a little bit from him today that overall he was rather happy in the Vancouver game with what he saw from the City D from top to bottom. Go ahead, Matt. Play it.
Yep.
Here we go. Yeah, no doubt. Want to have that, of course, this weekend. But Dale, you were there doing the analysis on the game. It's hard to get Roman to talk about anything with the complete game. Of course, there's a little reference to PKs, and George Gansner's on the segment after you, so feel free to throw out some PK reaction. But overall, it was a game where at the end, just like you and Joey Zanaboni, I was thinking, we're going to get this. They haven't been able to score on us in the run of play. It's been PK only. They had the one decent goal from, I think, the restart. But other than that, they didn't lead the game, and St. Louis was doing a good job.
I think Roman's point was a really good one.
Matt, do you have one? Do you want to ask him something?
Do
you want to ask him something?
I'm good. You're good.
Really was good in blocking shots, winning headers, keep the ball away from trouble, keep the ball away from Roman so he didn't have to stand on his head. And from a purely defending perspective, I thought the guys did a really good job. And look, Vancouver's attacking four, and then if you drop deeper, their two midfield players, and if you go wide, both of their offset backs are attacking-minded type players. And look at the step forward in what's his name, Brian White, and anyway, I forget his name. and then the wide guys,
Yeah.
Dale, one thing that people were reacting to the game is City takes two leads throughout the game, and both times they do start sitting back a little bit deeper, and I think that frustrates some fans. But you just talked about the pushing from the offensive fullbacks of Vancouver, the talent of their attacking four. So can you explain to people why it makes sense in the counterintuitive idea of why sitting back actually can help City's offense kill games, because it raises their chances of getting those really big transitions and counterattacks against a team like Vancouver.
Yeah, Laborda. I got a few issues with Laborda. Of course, last but not least, looking ahead, I got to look to the next game. That's Houston this weekend at home. Roman Berkey calling for the team to really focus on getting City fans that win. What does the team have to do to come up victorious and grab all 3 points, Dale? I'll be done here.
All right.
Control the game now in possession, where we have out of possession, and then we got forced back to defend, and then we have out of possession and we have to defend.
All right, thanks, Dale. Look forward to hearing from you and Joey on Saturday. Best of luck, and I'll see you at the Energizer Park. That was Dale Schilly, St. Louis City Academy Director and Game Analyst on Y98 for all City games, alongside Joey Zanaboni, who's on the call. We will have on our sister station Y98 pregame at 7 p.m. with kickoff at 7:30 as City hosts the Houston Dynamo on Saturday. More to come. We're going to we just look forward with Dale. We're going to go backwards because I got a bone to pick about some of these PKs. And we see a trend with this. Something was sent to me about Inter Miami. There's something recent with them on just how that's being called with pro referees interpreting, of course, FIFA rules and IFAB. We'll talk about that with George Ganster. He's a former FIFA and MLS assistant referee. We need him for some laws of the game, and we'll talk to him next on KMOX. All right.
Perfect.
Living 4 different lives, all coming together every day between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. to talk about life, actual life, not so much headlines or did you see what Trump did today or X, Y, Z. Never predictable because I never know what I'm going to talk about from one segment to the next. So it truly is unique and unpredictable. Join us.
104.1 FM, KMOX.
I'll remember me mentioning my wife's thermostat being broke because of the change of women. Yeah, people call me. How did she feel about me sharing her insanity? I did notice seeing her looking through a fork at me. So hey guys, if your wife, your girlfriend, your brother half is looking through a fork at you, look it up. Why? But she's still happy that she's got air conditioning. So you need help, you need pricing, some of the new equipment. Remember, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Guys, look up wives looking through forks at husbands. Better change the program around. God bless.
I'm Andrew Suntrup. For over 30 years, St. Louis and St. Charles families have trusted Suntrup Buick GMC.
Okay, so this time I'll try to remember. Oh, do you have to have the laws of the game sound? We don't have to do it. We can't find it.
Laws of the game.
There is a laws of the game intro, but if we don't have it, I'm not too worried about it. To me, it takes 30 seconds to set the whole thing up anyway, and that's 30 seconds we could burn George.
I do have it, yes.
Okay, great.
Well, am I playing this?
Let's play Critch,
Okay,
and then I'll call for the intro
Got it.
if I can remember. I'm sorry, my brain
you're
is
fine.
so fried
Don't
today.
worry about it. It is what it is.
I started talking. I'm like, I totally told Matt.
It
And I
happens.
started freaking talking. Do you happen to know the out time? Because I want to know how long I can take George. I left him
Yes.
kind of a long segment, so we can wrap up tight at the end.
So your time's going to be 55:50 at the end of the
Okay,
show.
55, 50, 56. Okay.
Get George on.
We sell solutions. We sell a job well done and we fix bad jobs. Client Masters, because you need someone you can trust.
someone who earns the respect and 5-star reviews. Climate Masters, selling high-quality carrier air conditioners. Turn to the experts. Climate Masters, quality work for over 40 years. Just type in Climate Masters or give us a call.
Good morning or good evening, George. This is Matthew calling for Gen C's at Camo X. How you doing today? No problem, no problem. You ready to jump on here in about a minute and a half? Perfect. Put you on hold. Thank you so much.
There might be an important message in there that affects you, like retirement. For example, on September 23rd and 25th, Steve Hall of the All Financial Group will be hosting a Taxes in Retirement seminar at Stone Summit. From the big beautiful bill to taxes on your Social Security, Steve will cover it. It's a complimentary event, but seating is limited, so reserve your seat today. Call 636-230-8824 or online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
What about this coupon for a new lawn service?
We live in a condo on the 3rd floor. Normally status changes.
Investment advisory products.
And if you want to jump in on George, you go right ahead. He can take it.
We started Neovitamin because we wanted to create
Okay.
a multivitamin for ourselves.
We'll do Dave Critchley, and I'll call for it.
Got it.
Remember.
Multivitamins are formulated with over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our 4-ingredient, physician-formulated proprietary blend for the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitamin 50+ multivitamins a try for yourself. Find them at your local Schnucks, Dearburns, and online at neovitamin.com.
College manager Ollie Marvel joins the Gas House Gang every Tuesday at noon. Sponsored by Cycling Cancer Center on the voice of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Now, back to the City Spotlight.
Our city! Our spirit!
Once again, Gen C's on KMOX.
It was very frustrating. I know we spoke after the game. I had a very strong feeling that some of the decisions on the field were wrong. But then going back and analysing it and looking at it and reflecting on it with less emotion, I still stand by that statement. So it was very disappointing. The club has took action. We've definitely sent a complaint into the league because.
That was City interim head coach David Critchley earlier today at a press conference that City typically has match day -2. Joining me now to talk about it, we have to address this particular aspect. George Gansner joins me for Laws of the Game to talk about David Critchley. You know, George, you know Critch, I know Critch. It's very unusual for him to comment too much on referees and things that are out of their control. But I didn't know that you were able to send a complaint to the league, and I don't even know what comes of that. Do you have advice on that as a former FIFA and MLS referee?
Hey, Jen.
I forgot.
You know, I don't know about
I forgot his intro.
how that
You're
gets
good.
distributed to the league. I do know that very often the coach.
Yeah, and so let's go back then through what the calls were, and it's so interesting because if you look around, and I've gotten comments from listeners, comments from friends of mine, and yours as well, and then you look also on MLS and the analysts. So from Andrew Wiebe, who does his instant replay, to Dax McCarty and Bradley Wright Phillips discussing Sasha Kljestan, their different points of view, and you really can't get any of them to agree on truly, especially that last PK call. So let's go in order. First, I wanted to ask you that in the 32nd minute, there was a hip check, butt check, one of the checks from Laborda. His name's going to come up again. Laborda on Joao Klaus inside the PK area, not called. You know, the question is, was it reviewed? And if it was it a PK to you? Did you have a chance to look at that one? So I'm going to ask this question then because it's going to come up later. Why no VAR intervention on that one? Okay. That's a straightforward answer. And so let's go into then the second half because I want to be sure we cover everything we've got. Or sorry, end of first half. My bad. 45 plus about 1. Just before then, you and I had a kind of a text string that we thought there could have been a call on Devin Padelford for a slide tackle a little bit before. It caused a corner kick restart and then a PK on Chris Durkin, maybe, who gets kind of falls, I think, shoved by Devin on accident, falls into a player. Brian White is able to take the PK and level it just before halftime. PK for you? If you have anything, let me know.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, so we got second half where teams are level. We got 10 minutes of stoppage time. We have at 78th minute, Vancouver equalizes, and then we got the one that everybody wants to know about. It's 90 plus about 9. So we're in that 10 minutes of stoppage time where Mackay's knee potentially, touches Laborda. They're both in stride. They're moving away from goal. Ball is an inconsequential. That is not a play that I'm looking to be that threatening on goal. It's probably going to go out. And you have Fotis and a assistant referee not call anything. Looks like City's going to take this one, and VAR interjects.
George, two of the things you mentioned there, the attacker coming across Mackay's line of running and the ball being outside of the box when the contact happens. When you look at those two pieces of information. One, how, like, I guess where's the line in a defender having a right to an area as well as the attacker, and at the same time we see a lot of inconsequential tie-ups with legs between defenders and attackers, especially when the ball isn't actually being played by the attacker. Why is this case of kind of just contact between the lower extremities, why is this elevated to that when we see so many plays that are different but have similar accents that don't get called? Okay. Oh, okay.
All right. Go Slew. Roll Bills. But hey, before I let you go, I got one quick thing and I got to get to break. 15, 20 years ago, when you were still doing this without VAR, do you call that? No chance. Good. Steve Moore, our program director, depended on that answer for you to have another Laws of the Game appearance. Well done. You passed. Thanks, George. We appreciate your time. Thanks, George. That was George Ganser. By the way, I want to call out to Scott from Oakville sent a message and, frustrated also, what's a PK anymore? What's not a PK? Non-intervention because maybe of the team. I don't know that I know that I can confirm Vancouver having Muller, Inter Miami having Messi. It certainly feels that way sometimes. I think it gets very frustrating, as George mentions. It goes to trying to get everything so black and white really takes away from the spirit of the game and what referees are trained to do, and that's watch things and feel the game that you cannot feel from a screen. We cannot feel those things as we watch, even as technically sound as VAR is. They are not there and feeling it. So appreciate George's contribution. Wish he could be here doing the call, and that wouldn't have happened. But we have to wrap up the Laws of the Game segment. More to come. We're going to talk about City and the Community next on KMOX. Ooh, I got late. Okay, so I'll basically wrap it up with
Feel like your paycheck barely keeps up with your life? At the Financial Freedom Seminar, learn how real people are building passive income and retiring early using real estate. It's all happening live in St. Louis with Lifestyles Unlimited, September 27th and 28th. You'll leave with a step-by-step plan to change your
I don't know how much time. Do you know how much time I'm going to have when I come back? I can't tell with that. I got so reliant on the digital clocks, and I didn't used to.
This is going to end at 4, 2, 2.5. 50, a minute and a half.
How long are those? Because I can just talk about them doing DASA.
Clip 1 is 25.
That's not too bad.
Clip 2 from Lund is 33.
Ooh.
We got ridership 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks good.
Call now, 877-25-RIDER or 877-25-RIDER.com.
You know, I'll just do the one from Lund. I'll just talk about it. We won't play her.
Right to it.
Yeah. I'll play, I'll just describe what they did, play his clip, and then, you know, wrap it up. And I got to hit 50.
Yes.
Okay.
What a place. And the home values have increased 105% in the last 5 years. So it's a great return on investment. The new sun and house houses are available this year. The modern exterior of a tree house with cozy interior elements of a cottage. Isberg-resort.com.
The legendary sound of the Doobie Brothers is rolling into town. Don't miss the show coming to Hollywood Casino Amphitheater September 4th with special guest, the Coral Reaper Band. It's a night of timelessness, happy harmonies, and classic rock energy like only the Doobies can deliver. Tickets are still available and can be found at Ticketmaster.com. For more info, head to KMOX.com/events.
Most people have no idea there's an invisible gap in their home's protection. This invisible threat is house stealing. Con artists pick a house. They transfer the deed of this house into their name by obtaining the forms, using the fake IDs, then filing the paperwork.
I'll set it up.
Protect your home from this invisible gap. Check on your home's title right now at HomeTitleLock.com. Be sure to use promo code RADIO, and they will send you a complete title scan of your home's title. And your first 30 days of triple lock title protection is free. HomeTitleLock.com.
KMOX is now on 104.1 FM, the same great station with even better sound.
Last segment of the City Spotlight. I'm Jen Cease alongside Matt Rocchio. Well, St. Louis City, we talked about a lot today. The loss of Lutz Pfannenstiel, sporting director, St. Louis City's recent, head-to-head with Vancouver that didn't go City's way, their upcoming game with Houston. But in the meantime, City stays in the St. Louis community. This past week, they met DASA's Power Wheelchair Soccer Players. That's a Disabled Athlete Sports Association. I can tell you, I've been to one of their events before. I've seen them play over the winter. They are incredible athletes. They really know how to work those chairs. And they were excited to have City players there. And Ben Lund got a taste of what it's like to be in the chair. And it turns out those players had some tricks up their sleeves.
Feeling like a beginner, but practice makes perfect. I think I got a little bit better throughout the training session. I think for my first day, there wasn't really much strategy, but I experienced that they have some trick plays. They have some trick plays that I tried to defend, and unfortunately unsuccessful. Yeah, everybody was helping me. It's an awesome group of people. I would have actually most probably like to come here more often and get the hang of it. But the ball is a little bigger, but communication is important.
Thankful for that experience. And of course, City's next game is they take on Houston on this Saturday, 7 o'clock pregame on Y98 with kickoff at 7:30. Thanks for listening to the City Spotlight on KMOX.
Easy to feel apprehensive about.
Great job.
That was a horrible last time. I went to. My timing was so bad.
No, it's fine. You got the clip in.
After the age of 40, and they also want you to know how easy.
Nothing wrong with that.
GetScreenedNow.com has all the information you need on cancers like prostate, breast, colon, lung cancer. You can also find out your risk of disease by cancer.
In my effort to give George more time, I probably gave him too much time.
Probably.
But